Namaskaram, welcome. So, till they adjust their technical formalities, let's connect with the heart. I'll sing a verse by Acharya Rameshwar Jha, which he talks about the insight that he has received, everything that he has learned, and how he has received this insight, and how he abides in the experience of the self all the time. And I'll be singing in the recension the way it is sung in Kashmir. So it would be interesting for many, as it was for me, how different it is the way it is sung in Kashmir. Okay, so this is from his text Purnata Pratyabhijya. Let's drink the rasa. Can you switch off your mobile phones or maybe silent it? I'll take a moment. Let's do it now, please. This is just so that we respect the tradition, Thank you. Yasyancha satyamahmeva bhami yasyancha satyamahmeva bhami Sarvatmana sarvavikalpahina yatnairalabhyam atidurlabham tam Shri Sadgurur Nami Dayarda Drishtim Shri Sadgurur Nami Dayarda Drishtim. Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. I take this moment to welcome each and every one of you. The first slide. Okay. So the topic of this is the second slide, sir. Can you have the first slide? Yes. So Kashi, the epicenter, the spiritual epicenter of Agamic and Tantric traditions. Okay. So when I was invited to speak, there was something very beautiful. I had a very short time, but this thing just came up. Mostly we talk about the topics where we forget to talk about and acknowledge the contribution of the tradition. And somehow then we think we know, but we really don't know. I tell you, my own experience, I have been studying with the direct disciple of Mahamohopadhyay Gopinath Kaviraj ji and Acharya Rameshwar Jha Guruji, direct disciples. And yet, when I started the research in 1 week that I had of preparing this presentation, I was amazed with the details. And my heart really was humbled. It melted with the effort what has gone in pursuing these studies. How sincere these scholars have been, how dedicated their lives have been. It's just so amazing, so beautiful. So this morning, I had this thought. Everything, this whole process, this seminar itself, it's a recognition. You see, it's a process of recognizing the sampradaya, right? We are doing it on Shaivism. Every single one of us, after post-COVID, everybody is in the process of recognizing their own selves and the way they're leading their lives. Every single sampradaya is recognizing itself, uncovering itself. The country is recognizing itself globally. The globe is recognizing itself, how they are acting, the way they are living. And people are really now interested into spiritual life because they don't know when they are going to leave COVID, So I was thinking, it is about this recognition. Next slide, please. So what is the scope of this paper? So why Kashi? What is so special about this space, Kashi? Why Kashi? And what is the significance and contribution of the tradition of Kashi in reviving and reliving the Shivadvaita traditions? See, there are so many traditions here in Kashi. It's a confluence of so many traditions. I'll just list them and just talk about the Shivadvaita tradition. And then contribution of Mahamohopadhyaya Gopinath Kaviraj-ji, Rameshwar Jha, Guruji, and the value of living tradition. Next slide, please. See, these are the sampradayas here in Kashi, okay? And I'm not going to discuss on all of them, but just an overview for you. There is this Trika Sampradaya, this Jnanaganja Sampradaya, Srividya Sampradaya, Aghora Sampradaya, Virashaiva Sampradaya. This is just the Shaiva Sampradayas. I'm not talking about the Vaishnava Sampradayas. I'm not talking about the Vedic Sampradayas. Everything, you name it, you have it here in Kashi. It's Vishwanath, no? So it's like the Guru. So all the deities, everybody are here representing themselves. So all traditions you find in Kashi in full bloom. Every single tradition. And we can, just on this topic, you can actually have 1 week of seminar just on the spiritual traditions and contributions of Kashi. But why this space? Next slide, please. Why Kashi? Why? What is so special about this place? See, two most important thing in Kashi is Vishwanathji and Ma Ganga. It's a space which is specially consecrated for higher sadhana, for spiritual ascension. Kashi is like a body of Shiva. Now this may seem very strange, but it's a body of Shiva, it's an energetic body of Shiva. Just staying here, just being in Kashi is, you are doing your sadhana. See, if it's at your home, you need to do something, the process. Here the energies are so vibrant. Just being here, you start feeling the resonance of the energy. And remember, Kashi, Kashate, Prakashate iti Kashi. It's Deepta, it's Deepti, it's illumination. It talks about light. It talks about the recognition that we are light. We are pure consciousness. And Kashmir, also Kashmir, Kashmiraha. There also, it's Kash, Kashri Deeptau, Miraha. Miraha means water. It also means Chiti. It also means the illumination of consciousness. Now you see Kashi and Kashmir. Why in Kashi has been that place where all the traditions are here? Why no other place in India? Every place has its own significance, but with due respect, why Kashi is chosen to be like this? There is some purpose. This space is created so that these traditions would thrive here. The space is created. So what is this space about? Kashi is a yantra in itself. So it's a manifestation of this mega human body and cosmos, microcosm, macrocosm. Kashi, it is said it is on Trishula of Shiva. You read it in Purana. What does it mean? It's a physical structure, but it is it is situated, it is held on the energetic center. There is this energy center, and the Trishula is represented by 3 temples. So there is this whole mandala. It begins with Omkareshwar in north, Vishweshwar in the middle, and Kedareshwar in the south. This is the Trishula. And every temple has its own sphere or mandala. It has 64 Yogini temples, 12 sun temples, 56 Ganesha temples in 7 concentric circles. 12 Adityas in accordance with sun, from Dakshinaya to Uttarayana. That's how they are placed. 8 Kalabhairava temples to protect the directions. There is this Panchakroshi Yatra. Remember, Pancha. 5 bodies, no? 5 sheets. Panchakroshi Yatra is there. And Kashi and significance of death. What a place this is where you just come for liberation. It's not about dying, it's about liberation. People talk about dying. It's not about dying, it's about liberation. It's just transition from one space of consciousness to another space of consciousness. That's it. It's a transition. So now I want, there's a beautiful video which has been created by a professional, one of my dear friend Bharat, just for this presentation. He did it last night, and I want you to really immerse yourself in this beautiful video which he has created and experience this space of Kashi, and then we'll come and talk about the tradition. Let's watch. So in this universe, you are zooming into Kashi, okay? So you are in the universe, now we are zooming into Kashi. You are coming from cosmos to Kashi. You can switch on these lights, it will be more beautiful. Now it's like an energy center, you're zooming in. Just feel this, zoom in, you know. It's like this energy center. Ganga. Feel this energy of Kashi. All these rituals support this divine consecration. Saptarshi Puja. The Saptarshis are alive with us, part of our tradition. The nucleus of Kashi, the center, the heart, Vishwanath. The saints, they say 51 siddhas always reside in Kashi. Manikarnika. This is where the Panchakroshi Yatra begins. The Pradakshina begins. Every time you go there, there's this realization of who am I? It's just thoughtless awareness. Every time you go there, you experience that nada. This is the Kashi, the map, the sacred mandala. You see the Gangaji, Ardha Chandrakara of Shiva. Gangaji flows in opposite direction. So it goes like this and again comes back. That's why it represents the Shushumna Nadi, which is Urdhva-mukhi. So every time you bathe in Ganga, it is bathing in the Brahma Drava, the Brahman in liquid form. It's not water. This is the five-fold yatra. The five spheres, the Panchakosha. This is Kashi. This is why we stay here. So many came, so many stayed here since we don't know how long. Such amazing traditions. And what it does is, it transports you to this expansive awareness. It's like this energetic center which transports you to this spiritual realm. It's so palpable here in Kashi. Thank you. Next slide, please. Now I'm going to share something very interesting. Seventh slide. This is the fifth. Go down, it's a seventh slide. Okay, so here it is. I talked about it right in the beginning, right? All these sampradayas. Next slide, please. Now this is the tradition of Kashmir, okay? And I'm sharing this, how this tradition has now come down to Kashi. But you can see this tradition of Kashmir. So from Swachandanatha, that was Satyuga, then Srikantanatha in Kali Yuga, to Durvasa Rishi. Now, Rishi Durvasa is the kind of one who actually brought, this tradition. From Durvasa came Trambaka, Amardaka, Srikantha, and Ardha Trambaka. And from Trambaka, all these four are Manasaputra. Okay, still 14 generations, they created Manasaputra just for the tradition. So this is a reality for 14 generation in Kashmir, Kashmiri tradition. We had this Manasaputra till Somananda. So Somananda couldn't, and then he married, and then a different, but still the lineage is there. But so 14 generations, we have this, it's written in the text by Acharya Kshemaraja, it's documented. And then it comes till Somananda, Utpaldeva, Lakshmana Gupta, Shambhunath, Abhinav Gupta, Kshemaraja, Yogaraja. Then again the tradition goes kind of Gupta, not Lupta, but Gupta. It hides itself, and then again comes back to Swami Manakaka, Swami Rama, who has been very important. You'll see how Swami Rama has been the focal point who has revived this tradition. Every text you get, we read of KSTS, Kashmir series, is inspired by Swami Ram. So Swami Ram is the one person, one being who brought all these texts to us, otherwise they won't have come. It was Swami Ram, you'll see, who was Guru of, Dada Guru of Swami Lakshmanju. And Swami Ram inspired Swami Shankar Chaitanya Bharati. Yes, see, I never knew this. Nobody, this is never told. And Swami Shankar Chaitanya Bharati, at the age of, he was born in Kashmir, at the age of 19 he came to Kashi. No, he came to Kashi early, and at the age of 19 he wrote a tika on Khandan Khanda Khadya. And that, at 19-year-old boy could write that tika, and all the scholars, they couldn't believe it. I mean, how can anybody forget studying? You can't even study. You're writing a commentary on it. And then they come, and he challenges them. And then, so Swami Shankar Chaitanya Bharati has been the doyen here. He's the son. He is the one who inspired Pandit Gopinath Kaviraj also to study Kashmir Shaiva. So he was born in 1916, Swami Shankar Chaitanya Bharati, and he lived 42 years. In 1956, he took samadhi. And he took samadhi in front of 25 people, and they saw, and the sound was there of him living through Sahasrara. And Gopinath Kaviraj was there, present, when he left his body. Okay? This is very important, because Swami Shankar Chaitanya Bharati, his disciple, still have Shiva Shankara Chaitanya Bharati. He's 100-year-old, he's still here. Sudhanshu Shekhar Shastri, his disciple. Okay, so that whole tradition is there. And Swami Shankara Chaitanya Bharati has so much, whole Sri Vidya tradition, Dakshinamurti tradition, he has it. Kashmir Shaiva, he has it. You name it. Vedanta, he has it. Sarva Shastra Parangata. That was Swami Shankar Chaitanya Bharati. Next slide, please. So here it is. And then there is, at the end is Acharya Amrit Vagbhav, and then Acharya Baldinath Pandit. Acharya Amrit Vagbhav also was from Kashi. And he was inspired to study by Gopinath Kaviraj. I don't know if many know this or not. And he was initiated, he says, by sage Durvasa. And he has written so much on Shaivism. And his, Baljinath Pandit writes, even in his, this Kashmir Kosha, Brihat Kosha, he talks about him a lot, how he calls it Neo-Shaiva Sampradaya. The Chid Vilasa, the doctrine of Chid Vilasa is shared by him. This is very important. Next slide, please. So here it is, Swami Ram, Swami Mahatab, Kak, and Swami Lakshmanju. I don't know if everybody has seen the photo, so I thought, why not? Next, please. Here is Swami Shankar Chaitanya Bharati in his exalted state. Somebody just took, I think Gopinath Kavirajji was the one who took the photograph. Only photograph available of him. Yeah. Gopinath Kaviraj, Mahamopadhyay Acharya Rameshwar Jha, Acharya Amrit Vagbhav. Now see, beauty is Acharya Rameshwar Jha. Now see the confluence of and the way these acharyas used to interact with each other. Gopinath Acharya Rameshwar Jha was initiated by Swami Lakshmanju, and it was like Anupaya. He was this amazing scholar who knew Vedanta, yoga. He was a yogi himself, but still there was something remaining, and he went there just drinking tea, and then he was just blown off. So Anupaya, through Anupaya, and he also wrote Guru Stuti for Swami Lakshmanju. But his first main text which he has written, original contribution, is Purnata Pratyavijaya by Acharya Rameshwar Jha, and Acharya Rameshwar Jha dedicates that book to Gopinath Kaviraj. You see how beautiful it is. Now Gopinath Kaviraj comes from Jaipur, and Gopinath Kaviraj ji is into this. His guru is Vishuddhananda Paramhans, who has Gyan-Ganja Parampara, and so he receives Tantra from there, but he is inspired to study Kashmir Shaiva from Shankara Chaitanya, Swami Shankara Chaitanya Bharati. Such beauty. Next slide, please. So these are the disciples of Gopinath Kaviraj, prominent disciples. There are many disciples, and the colored ones are because I had this great good fortune to study with them. Acharya Devavrata Sen Sharma, Acharya Vrajwala Dwivedi, Pandit Hemendra Nath Chakravarti. Next slide, please. So what is the contribution of Gopinath Kaviraj? See, his contribution is he established Tantra as a doctrine, and started proper academic study and a very serious discourse on the spiritual sadhana of the same. See, earlier the Tantra tradition was there. It was practiced, It's Swami Shankar Chaitanya Bharati. It was practiced. There were seekers who were practicing themselves. They'll do archana, they'll practice. But it was never talked about it. It was never discussed about, discussions never happened, discourse never happened. It was him who had this discourse. He had this big conference on Tantra where he invited Swami Lakshmanju, and it was him who brought Swami Lakshmanju also to forefront, because he said that if there is one adhikari who can talk about Kashmir Shaiva, then it is Swami Lakshmanju. And he brought him on the dais. He gave that respect to him. His Gopinath Kaviraj's speciality is his drishti of samarasya. Every single tradition he studied. Every single there was this open space where every single tradition was respected, because according to him, he had this akhanda drishti, this absolute vision where every single tradition has its own place. You cannot deny any tradition because it is part of the Purnata. The Purnata won't be Purna without every single tradition. Like in a whole big car, even a nut bolt has its value. Why? Because if it's not there, then the car is not a car. This whole tradition is not a tradition unless every single tradition are respected. And so for him, he used to go to saints, he used to go to seekers, meet with them, personally have dialogues with them, and articulate those things in his writings. He has written amazing books, but the thing is, very little is there in English. All that spiritual and heart melting that he has written, that's in Bengali and Hindi. It's translated in Hindi by a few of his disciples. So you must study Kavirajji. I tell you, every time I study Kavirajji with my guru, Pandit Hemendra Nath Chakravarti, if you sometimes while studying Kavirajji, you have to stop your breath. A thought you are studying something and just a thought would come and you'll just miss it. You'll again read the whole thing. It is so subtle. You have to read the text in a certain space of awareness. You cannot read the text like a book. Even one page you won't, one paragraph you won't understand. And his beauty was depth and expanse. He had the depth and he had the expanse. He created this book, Tantric Sahitya, where he documented every single Tantric book. He went through all the manuscripts in Sampurnanand Sanskrit University, and so many editions of Lupta Agam Sangrah he has brought out. It's because of him that we have all these texts. It's because of him that the study of Tantra, the study of Kashmir Shaiva actually began. The study of yoga actually began in a way where every single path was supporting each other. If you understand yoga, you'll understand the yoga of Kashmir Shaiva. Why? Because Kashmir Shaiva, when it is coming, it is already taking support. Taking support is not the thing. It's this akhanda tradition, So if you already know certain things, for example, Sankhya, 24 tattvas, and here Shaivism is providing 36. So would you negate Sankhya? No. You'll appreciate, you'll assimilate Sankhya. And you'll tell something more in this 11 tattvas it has to offer. So this integration and assimilation, this drishti of Kavirajji is the beauty of what he has given us. So coexistence. Every single thing can coexist in this beautiful universe. Next slide, please. So 3 things what he did. He had this samarasya of Kriya Paksha and Bhava Paksha. Now what is Kriya Paksha and what is Bhava Paksha? Bhav is this experiential realization. So he stressed that you really would never understand a scripture like Professor Nagaraj was sharing. You will never understand the scripture just if you talk about it. You just talk about the theory and that's it. See, the whole part of the purpose. The purpose was recognition, The purpose was to recognize what we are studying, to live what we are studying, right? So he brought this aspect of Bhava Paksha. But again, Kriya Paksha is important because if you won't have the Kriya with Bhava, Kriya won't be Kriya. And if you won't have the Bhava without Kriya, the Bhava won't be expressed. So the Samarasya, this is very important, of Kriya and Bhava. Then Krama-darshan. He led such extensive research on Krama-darshan. So if you read his Tantric Vangmay Mein Shakta Drishti, amazing text. Just one text, if you study, you'll understand what Tantra is. So he also dispelled the wrong notions about Tantra. Even now people have very wrong notions about Tantra. Just they see the one tamasic aspect of Tantra, they miss out the other aspect of Tantra. So you should read the Tantric Vangmay Mein Shakta Drishti just to understand what is Tantra, Kavirajji. Now I'll just give you an example of his drishti. For example, so we all know this mantra, Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Avashishyate. So he says, this mantra describes the integral nature of the Supreme Reality in terms of fullness, which is beyond the grasp of the finite mind of man. The Supreme Reality is always full in itself, the one without a second, therefore it is self-subsistent and always independent. It does not suffer from any want or deficiency. It is present everywhere when we look at it from world point of view, at all times as the embodiment of fullness. Since it is the locus of both creation and dissolution. Sometimes we are so much focused on creation, we miss the dissolution. When we are focused so much on dissolution, we miss the creation. Srishti Marga, Sanghar Marga. So some people just talk about the Srishti Marga, some people just talk about the Samhar Marga. So Nivritti, everything, you have to renounce the world, you have to renounce this, you have to renounce that. Okay, if you had to renounce it, why this world is there? What is the whole point of having the world if you anyhow have to renounce? So basically you are having this core concept that the world is useless. So this is something Kashmir Shaiva completely negates. It says because na Shivam vidyate kvachit. Nothing exists that is not Shiva. So every single thing is a tool to experience Shiva. Every single way is a way to experience Shiva. you can experience Shiva through any means. You can experience Shiva through Natya Shastra. You can experience Shiva through dance. You can experience Shiva through art. So that's why all these art forms were really respected in Agamas. Why? Because this perspective of Samarasya. It's about Srishti and Samhara. And Samarasya of Srishti and Samhara, now it's another thing. It's so opposite, two opposite things. Srishti and Samhara, it's opposite. But there is this underground, or you can say the underlying reality where the Srishti is there and Samhara is there. For example, right now we are breathing, right? The in-breath and out-breath. Apana, prana. Okay? Now you think apana is going, there is this Vijnana Bhairav Dharana where we focus on the pause where the apana goes, there is a pause. Then prana comes out, there is a pause. But if you experience this, you'll see that actually there is no going and coming. It's just throbbing. There is this consciousness, and then there is this throbbing of prana and apana. That's happening. It's not going in and out. So first step you'll practice is going in and out. Then you'll be focusing on that madhya. After once you focus on the madhya, the shushumna opens. Then you don't go, the movement or the chara, the gati is not outward and inward, it's upward. The upward gati is there. The urdhva arohana happens. It's uchara, utcharana, urdhva, charana, utcharana. Uchara doesn't mean just uchara, means speaking, uttering. Utcharana means urdhva arohana. The breath is going up. That's the udana. And then Vyana. I'll just take few more minutes. Sri Vidya Sampradaya in Kashi. Yeah? Okay. So even this detail of Swami Shankara Chaitanya Bharati receiving from Avadhuta Sri Vidyanatha is not documented anywhere. It's a new information which I am offering. Yeah. And even I knew it in just last week after you requested me to speak. So these things are really rare. We really don't know. And we have Sudhanshu Shekhar Shastri, such a scholar in Kashi. People should go and learn from him. Next, please. See this, the Acharyas of Sri Vidya. Next. There is Agora Sampradaya, Kinaram Baba. I'm not going to talk about it. Next. Yes, next. There is this Veerashaiva Sampradaya, amazing, this mutt. Next. A lineage of 80, I was told 84 gurus. It's so unbelievable. You just go to the Veerashaiva mutt. Unbelievable. There is, I think, only mutt which has this unbroken lineage here in Kashi. Such a long lineage. So that's what I told. The contribution of Kashi, you can, next please. Thank you. Contribution of Kashi, why this Kashi is understood in this way, why I'm saying the spiritual epicenter of Agamic and Tantric traditions. And the reason why Kashi embodies this is because of the space it has. The consciousness it has, the sadhana that is happening. So many people are coming through their love and bhakti. It is being charged like this. That's why the tradition is thriving. So it's not just through textual study only. It is through bhakti, through love. That's why it is thriving. That is keeping it alive. This energy is being, there is this shodhana of cleansing of energy that is happening continuously in Kashi. So that's why we need to live. We need to live this tradition. We need to become the living, breathing scripture. With this, I'll conclude my presentation. Thank you so much.